All right, let's talk about how to clean your spray tips. I realized after making a couple of videos on these things, I didn't explain that. And one of the guys, subscriber to the channel, Jerry Fry, he's a good painter. He used to be in Riverside. I don't know if he still is. I haven't seen him in many years, but he was a really good painter. And he mentioned that he didn't know this. So I went, oh my gosh, I need to make sure everybody understands what to do and what not to do. So there's two sides of this video. First part, we're going to talk about how to clean your spray tip when you're on the job site. And then later on in the video, I'm going to show you what not to do so you don't make the wrong mistakes when you're trying to clean one. Okay, first, number one. Let's say you're spraying a wall. You're spraying along. All of a sudden, your fan gets a little wonky or starts to plug up partly or whatever. A lot of guys would use the reverse it. They'd flip it around and spray somewhere. All you do with this is you take it, hit it like that on something, and then continue to spray. Most of the time, that'll take care of almost any plug up you get with these spray tips. Okay, that is number one. Okay, and people go, oh, that's hard on the gun, whatever. Hey, this is a $300 gun. This thing takes some serious abuse. I do that all the time. I have no trouble with that. And I'm going to tell you a couple things about this again. So real quick, this is a cone filter housing. This is a cone filter, really very necessary if you're using a flat tip, to have a cone filter housing. And then I think this is an 11/16 spray head. They used to call them Graco, or no, not Graco. I think it was the brand Wagner size or something like that. I don't know, but I think it's 11/16. Don't recall exactly. Hopefully you get the right stuff. But anyway, so the tip gets plugged up. So the other thing is, if it's a serious plug up, first of all, if you're getting a serious plug up, you want to evaluate, maybe this filter is starting to get bad. I buy these by the dozen, and I always have like 4 or 5 of them. This is a medium filter. They have a coarse, a medium, and an extra fine. The medium one is usually what I use, and I never have plug ups from using it. And it's, every once in a while, so I usually get about 1 a day that I have an issue with. And for the amount that you save, it's worth it to have to clean the spray tip out once a day. No big thing. So what you do is you turn it upside down like that, so your numbers are facing you, and it looks like this on the other end, and it kind of semi-seals. You put it back on here. Now what you do next is you take your spray gun. I usually will dunk it under the paint so that this paint is underneath right here. If you don't, you might have a big mess. So I dunk it underneath the paint because I've got paint in my line. You don't need to clean your whole line out and put water in it and use water to clean out your tip. You can use paint to push it back through. So you put the thing back on here, you dunk it under the paint, pull the trigger. In the same way, I'll do it because it may maybe make a mess. But backwards, you pull it. There's a little bit of pressure still in my line. And then you take your tip out, you put it back in. Usually I always have a bucket of water. I'll dunk this under the water, make sure I don't have anything on it. Every once in a while, you'll put this back in, you put this back on. A little bit frustrating sometimes. You put this back on, and you always test it before you go up on the ladder. So put it on the side of your bucket, give it a little spray, make sure it's clean, make sure it's spraying again, and then go back to work. So if you have more than 1 or maybe 2 plug ups, sometimes it will be just because you left some residue on here or something like that. I take these out after about every 2 or 3 gallons of paint, and I'll clean it in the water, put it back in, and that's just what I normally do. Because what happens is it start to get cake built up on here, especially if you don't strain your paint or you don't strain it properly. You will start to get some on here, or you don't have a filter in your machine. This old machine, this 440 XC, everybody tells me get rid of it, get a new one. It's like, it still works fine. And I'm only spraying 2 to 3 gallons at a time, so it doesn't matter for me. It doesn't have a filter, okay? It doesn't have a system filter. And usually those are like 60, what are they called? 60, I think, 60 mesh or something like that. It's been a while since I've had a rig with a filter, so I don't remember. And there's a lot of stuff that gets through that filter anyway and gets in your line. But I take this off and clean it every once in a while. You know, I'll go through a few gallons, I'll dunk it in water, clean it. And again, when I put this back together, I will always test it before I go up on the ladder, pull the trigger. And just the other day, I forgot to do that. And I was up on a lift, I had gotten all the way up there and went, oh, darn, forgot to test it. You know, that happens, guys. You know, everybody makes mistakes. So, the next thing I'm going to tell you is what not to do. And I've seen a lot of guys do this. And don't do this, okay? They'll use a pocket knife or they'll use their putty knife and they will mess with this orifice right here. So they'll take a knife and put it in the orifice. Don't do that. The tip is ruined. As soon as you do that, throw that tip away. It is no good. You can take your knife. Let's get you guys up a little closer. You can take your knife and scrape off the surface like this, and don't touch that orifice. You can scrape off the surface because you'll get buildup around your tip. Sometimes it affects your spray. And you can take your knife and pick out, like I could just pick out this side. Okay, see what I'm doing? I'm not touching that orifice in the middle. I can pick out this side, and I can pick out this side without touching that orifice, okay? And you can see, if you look here, you see that little orifice in the middle? I didn't touch it with my knife, so it's still good. That little tiny orifice in the middle is made out of a different material than the outer surface. Every once in a while, you get a cheap aftermarket tip, and I've had this happen a couple times, and I've been spraying, and all of a sudden that little centerpiece blows out of the tip, and then it just starts making a mess. Okay, I've had that happen a couple of times on a cheap aftermarket tip. Well, that's why it's nice when you get the Graco ones. The Graco ones are the best. This one's not a Graco, I don't think. The ones I buy online are Graco. They're a little better quality if you can't get the Graco ones. But you can do that to get some of the buildup around it out. But do not take a knife, a putty knife, or anything and put it next to that orifice. That thing's machined perfectly. If you distort that at all, the tip is no good. You gotta throw it away. Put a new tip on. So anyway, that's just a little bit about this. I realized, after making all these videos on flat tips, and I just figured everybody knew how to do it. But, it's because I've just been doing it so long, I forget to think like it was back when I first started, or back in the early days. And think like maybe some of you guys are that just barely started using flat tips and you don't know how to clean it. So I thought I'd make a video on that. I'll talk to you next one. Hopefully that helps you. And keep watching the spray videos. They're going to help you learn how to spray better. Go back and watch the same video 10, 15 times if you can. Listen to the stuff I say on these videos while, I'm just standing here and I'm not working. The videos when I'm not working are very key for you to understand what I'm doing when I'm spraying. I try and do it when I'm spraying. I try and do those narration, and it's just not the same as what I can do when I'm not spraying or I'm not watching a video spraying. So watching all the videos is key to learning how to do this better. And people go, oh, how come you're the expert? How come you know so much? So listen, you can just not listen to me. It's okay. You don't have to. There's plenty of other painters on YouTube. There's but you'll see some of the comments from guys who know the stuff that I know, and there's a lot of really, really, really good guys on YouTube that are commenting, and thank you for making those comments, supporting the channel, that already know this stuff, and they will tell you, reply to their comments and say, hey, is this right? And the ones that really know, that are saying, hey, that's the way I do it, okay? And they will tell you, that this is the right way to do it. This is the way that, most people don't do it this way, unfortunately. And, they're not the cutting edge of who's doing this stuff, you know. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe. See your comments on it. Thank you.